Marc Stier. I'm the Executive Director of the Pennsylvanians Together campaign. Before we begin, I want to give a shout out to Dwayne Heisler, right over there. He's our campaign director. Dwayne is the guy who put this event together. I'm really proud to be working with him. Also, another shout out to Mr. Riggs. Mr. Riggs is a lobbyist here to try to get the General Assembly to cut taxes on the rich. We wanted to bring him here today because we know there are a lot of people in suits and ties trying to accomplish that with the General Assembly, and we didn't want them to be lonely because the people who oppose them far outnumber them. Right? But if any fat cats here in the room want to take a picture with Mr. Riggs and go up to the lobbyists, go up to the legislators and share that picture with them, we'd be very happy to have them do it when the event's over. I'm here representing the Pennsylvania Policy Center and Pennsylvanians Together. Pennsylvanians Together is a campaign of diverse Pennsylvanians. We come from every corner of the state. We are rich and poor. We are black, brown, and white. We are native-born and immigrants, both documented and undocumented. And we're determined to rise above our differences and work together for the goals we all share. We're governed by a leadership team, and many folks from the leadership team are here in the room. Is CASA in the room? Make the road in the room? SEIU in the room? Action Together NEPA in the room? Now there's some other organizations, Square, they're not a membership organization, but they're in the room too. We're here to advocate for key issues on our agenda, both for this budget season and for the future. We have three critical priorities for this budget season. The first is education. The General Assembly must enact a 7-year plan to meet our constitutional and moral obligation to fully and fairly fund our schools. This is the paramount issue in the state today. When those of us here today are long gone, people will look back at this moment in history and say, did the General Assembly live up to its obligations? Did the General Assembly do what it should have done for many, many decades and give every child in the state an opportunity to make the best use of their talents and abilities by giving them a good education? The second priority is to raise the minimum wage. It's long past time to put the state on a path to $15 an hour and more. Doing so will raise the wages of 1.3 million Pennsylvanians and inject $5 billion into our economy. And it'll lift wages for lots of people, not just minimum wage workers. The third priority is to add $200 million in the home repairs program. This is a critical program to help low and moderate income Pennsylvanians fix up their homes and improve their communities. That's the short-term agenda. That's what needs to get done by the end of this month. But we also have a long-term agenda that we intend to put on the priority list for the General Assembly this year and in future years. It's time to reject a tax system in which the top 1% pay only 6% of their income in state and local taxes, while the other 99% pay at least 12% of their income in state and local taxes. That is wrong, and it prevents us from raising the revenue we need to create the programs that will allow every Pennsylvanian to thrive. It's also time to reject a tax system which allows 73% of the corporations that operate in the state to pay nothing to our corporate net income tax. And these are multinational corporations that make billions and billions of dollars a year, including billions of dollars in Pennsylvania. Recently, our state Senate passed a tax bill that will make our already unfair system even worse. They call for cutting the personal income tax by a very small amount. But that small percentage, when you look at the very rich, gives people making $1.9 million a year a $5,000 tax cut. Whereas people in the middle, with an income of $50,000 a year, they only get $180. And people at the bottom with incomes of less than $20,000 a year get about $20 per year in a tax cut. That is simply not fair, and it's a waste of state resources. This handout to wealthy Pennsylvanians is absurd. But in offering to pass this tax cut, the Senate Republicans did say one important thing. For months they've been saying we can't afford to use the surplus for recurring funding for our schools. But that tax cut has a recurring effect on the budget, just like spending on schools. So now there's no question whether we have the money to fix our schools. We have the money. We have the money. The only question is whether we're going to use that money for our schools or whether we're going to use that money for a tax cut for the rich. The time to act for our schools, for the minimum wage, and home repairs is now.